A leaked internal report has shocked countless people. China's homeless population has soared to 24.1 million, surpassing the entire population of Taiwan and exceeding the combined homeless populations of the United States, United Kingdom, France, and Japan. Even more startling, this figure was not officially disclosed by the National Bureau of Statistics. It emerged from a discreet investigation led by Chen Ronghui, Deputy Director of the National Data Bureau, involving 34 provincial agencies quietly gathering data. The report reveals that by May 2025, China's homeless population has surged 5.3 times in just 5 years. Yes, 5.3 times. This is not a statistical error, it reflects a society in crisis. Among the 24.1 million homeless, 61% are young people under 33, including a distressing number of children abandoned by their families before reaching adulthood. Another 25% are elderly individuals over 65, with heartbreaking stories of grandparents and grandchildren relying on each other, scavenging trash to survive, now a common occurrence. In 2020, the demographics were reversed. 69% were over 65, and only 6% were under 33. This shift toward younger, even child-aged homeless, signals a collapse of family structures. These individuals were not destined to live on society's margins. Among them are urban professionals, factory workers with a decade of experience, delivery riders struggling to make ends meet, bankrupt small business owners, and entrepreneurs who once wore suits and drove luxury cars. Their only shared trait is being left behind by society. By 2025, Shenzhen is no longer merely a city of towering skyscrapers and vibrant nightlife, a haven for entrepreneurs. It now ranks among the cities with the highest homeless populations in China. At Luohu Square, Futian CBD and Shanghai Talent Market, groups of workers sleep on the ground, using cardboard as bedding and backpacks as pillows, dressed in worn-out clothing. They do this to save the 15 yuan cost of a night in a budget hostel, sending that money back to their hometowns. In Guangzhou, delivery riders have become the residents under bridges, working by day and sleeping on the ground at night. A shared bed costing 1,000 yuan a month is an unaffordable luxury. In Shanghai, McDonald's has become the only refuge that does not expel the homeless. At 24-hour locations, increasing numbers of people gather to shelter from the rain, seek warmth, or rest, while the bitter cold lingers outside and despair festers within. Beijing presents a more complex picture. At train stations, plazas, underpasses, and overpasses, you find not only unemployed workers and professionals but also stranded visitors, fractured families, and young people who arrived in the city only to be swindled out of everything. Many landlords refuse to rent to those without jobs, meaning unemployment often leads directly to homelessness. In China's major cities, unemployment equates to homelessness, which equates to a survival crisis. What is deeply troubling is that behind these figures, the government has not proposed any solutions for these 24.1 million people. In Western nations, homelessness is viewed as a temporary condition, with most individuals finding placement through social organizations within 2 to 6 months. Data from 2024 shows the US had 770,000 homeless people, the UK 426,000, France 307,000, Germany 258,000, and Japan just around 3,000. A mere 0.002% of its population. Yet these countries provide food, clothing, medical support, and temporary housing. In China, these 24.1 million not only lack homes but often go hungry, with no shelters, no food assistance, no free clinics, and not even a proper data platform to acknowledge their existence. The most tragic cases involve families, such as grandparents raising grandchildren, surviving on scavenged trash for 5 years, living on the brink of death daily, yet invisible to the system. The report indicates that 98% of the homeless once had families but were forced out due to broken ties, unemployment, bankruptcy, debt, violence, or lack of aid. This is not individual failure but a systemic breakdown, a stark reflection of an atomized society. A nation that should be united in mutual support is instead descending into extreme self-preservation, abandonment, and destruction. Government indifference, estranged families, and societal rejection strip away the last vestiges of human dignity. The migrant workers who once fueled the world's factory can neither return to their villages nor survive in cities. Professionals who once worked late in office towers now sleep on cardboard at subway entrances. Young people who once aspired to a comfortable life are now urban ghosts. The 24.1 million homeless represent 1.72% of China's population. equivalent to the population of 3 Beijings, the entirety of Taiwan, or an entire nation erased from the map, yet their names go unremembered. This is a conservative estimate. The report notes that many of these individuals do not sleep on the streets but crowd into internet cafes, cars, abandoned buildings, or underground spaces. They are overlooked by statistics, excluded by the system, and forgotten by society. These invisible people form the true underclass, the greatest cost of China's so-called modernization. When a Chinese blogger shared nighttime photos of Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Shanghai, the comment sections erupted. Is this the GDP miracle we've celebrated for 30 years? China's GDP is second in the world, yet it can't accommodate a grandparent and child? When will we stop having to compete for a place to sleep? The most poignant comment was, what Chinese people fear most isn't poverty, it's losing everything overnight. This captures the essence of the fate of these 24.1 million, many of whom fell from the urban middle class. The data reveals that in 2025, 61% of the homeless are under 33, a profoundly alarming signal. These were once China's generation of hope, highly educated with jobs, mortgages, credit cards, marriages, and children. They formed the backbone of the so-called middle class, but an economic downturn shattered it all like a bubble. Falling real estate values turned their homes from assets into debt burdens. Foreign companies withdrew, state-owned enterprises cut jobs, stable employment vanished, consumer spending declined, startups failed, and side ventures collapsed. With children needing education and elderly parents requiring medical care, their expenses far exceeded their income. In just 6 months, or even 3, they went from middle class to nothing. Many survived initially by maxing out credit cards, liquidating assets, or taking online loans, until debts spiraled, homes were seized, families fractured, and they ended up jobless, homeless, and alone, sleeping under overpasses. The change was so swift they scarcely had time to despair. But having once had something, they are angrier. Understanding how cities and systems function, they know how to resist. They are not silent victims, they are potential catalysts for systemic upheaval. This is the most concerning variable in MKS theory, the socially marginalized new middle class, also known as the fault line middle class. They share distinct characteristics: experience as respected individuals, low barriers to resistance, knowledge of systemic vulnerabilities, skill in organizing and disseminating ideas, profound emotional disillusionment, intense dissatisfaction, and, with no remaining ties, the ability to act decisively. If even a portion of these 24.1 million homeless unite and organize, it could create a shockwave no system could endure. China is not lacking in resources, it simply chooses not to allocate them to these people. Data shows that in 2024, local government debt exceeded 100 trillion yuan for the first time. But where was this money spent? On redundant high-speed rail projects, unfinished smart computing centers, uninhabited ghost cities, extravagant conference halls for foreign dignitaries, and perpetually unprofitable state-owned reform pilots. Meanwhile, investing a few million yuan to build shelters, food distribution centers, or hospitals for the homeless in major cities, no one proposes it, and no one approves it. Some cities even have explicit regulations labeling street sleeping as disrupting order, with urban management officers evicting, confiscating belongings, and fining people in the dead of night. Shenzhen, Beijing, and Guangzhou all cleared homeless populations in 2024. But these are not refuse, they are human beings. Ironically, Chinese media continue to mock tent cities in the US, immigrant camps in France, or Japan's homeless relying on government-issued meals. Yet the numbers tell the truth. The US has 770,000 homeless, 0.23% of its population. The UK 426,000, 0.63%. France 307,000, 0.46%. Germany 258,000, about 0.3%, and Japan under 3,000, less than 0.002%. Even during economic fluctuations, these countries provide food, clothing, medical aid, and temporary housing. In the US, most homeless individuals are resettled within 2 to 6 months, with an average homelessness duration of under 13 months. In Japan, nearly all homeless receive monthly government subsidies, medical cards, and access to social housing. In contrast, China's 24.1 million homeless, 1.72% of the population, are 31 times the US figure, and 8,033 times Japan's, representing half the world's homeless population. Yet the government has never formally acknowledged this number nor established a meaningful resettlement system. These people sleep in bridge tunnels, hide in restrooms, cram into cars, or slip into abandoned buildings. They have no food, no hot water, no human rights, and no data to validate their existence. While other nations strive for humanity, China is focused on concealing its people. The wounds of Chinese-style modernization are beginning to fester. The government often declares, improving people's lives is our goal. But these 24.1 million are not living. They are merely surviving. They are a living testament to China's social divide, victims of a collapsing housing market, the first casualties of unemployment waves and automation, the hardest hit by systemic indifference, the breaking point of family disintegration, and the symptoms of a dysfunctional society. Most sobering of all, this number is projected to grow over the next 5 years. Thanks for watching and joining us on this journey to unveil China's many layers. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and hit that subscribe button to stay updated. See you in the next video.